Aloha everyone, this is July 15th through the 21st of the 2018 Kilauea Eruption. Let's get into it. We pick up on July 15th back down at the ocean entry. The lava delta that has been forming over the course of June and July is now over 3.5 miles wide. A familiar face joins Mick, Kalber, and Bruce Omori in the morning overflight, and this centralized vent is the primary ocean entry point. Up further to the north, closer to Pohoiki, we see this underwater tumulus which has formed into a small island. And this is a lava tube that has been able to put out lava continually feed into that area and enough to raise above the surface of the water level. We also get these upwellings of water just offshore of that primary ocean entry point, which is a quite shallow area where it's making ocean entry. We still see these littoral explosions taking place offshore as well, and that's the interaction between the salt water of the ocean and the magma when it feeds into it. They have been fairly benign up until this point. Going back upslope a little bit to the Pohoiki crater, also known as Green Mountain, where the lava had diverted itself over the previous week, that area is starting to get a little bit more robust as the days go on. It's still pretty volatile in that area. We see lava pooling out and all these little crag looking rocks protruding from the lava surface. We end up calling this area the lava boat marina. The lava boats that are coming down, these pieces of the lava channel that are breaking off and getting ushered down the lava channel by the lava, those seemingly are collecting in this area, so hence the name, the marina. Back at Fissure 8, the surges of lava that come through the system that coincide with the summit collapse events are becoming a little bit more volatile with each iteration. We see these overflows in the area around Fissure 8, and that lava channel end up getting completely filled up when these surges come through the system. We start off July 16th back down at the ocean entry near the Ahaonui area, or what was the Ahaonui area. This ocean entry and these littoral explosions that we've been seeing and talking about loosely over the previous episodes is about to get a lot more violent. In the early morning hours of July 16th, a very large littoral explosion ends up enveloping one of the tour boats operating down near the ocean entry. This tour boat is closer than it maybe perhaps should be, but this explosion happens further offshore than many that we've seen so far and is significantly larger. The boat gets pelted by lava shrapnel and lava bombs, which end up injuring 23. We hear the female injured in the video is in her 20s with a broken leg. That is the most serious injury. Really tragic, but at least nobody died in this one. The first clip we see there is from the boat that gets pelted by the lava bombs. The clip from the boat leaving the explosion area, that is Ikaika Marzo's boat looking back at the boat that got enveloped. And then we just see the results of the boat that got hit in harbor once it finally made its way back to Hilo. So I've been trying to toss in a little foreshadowing at different points during this series, but this one I'm just going to point out. This is one of the last views you're going to see of the Pohoiki Boat Ramp and the Shacks Bowls area, the park, all of that intact as the way it was prior to the eruption. There are some changes, but really it's mostly the way it was in these clips, and it will be forever changed by the end of this. Here we have a thermal map produced by the USGS, and this one is from July 17th. It shows two different things here. The first is up at Fissure 8. We have those overflows from the fissure itself, and those are shown in the lighter gray. The second is down near Pohoiki and that ocean entry, continuing to advance slowly towards the boat ramp more and more each day. And that diversion up by the Pohoiki crater is really accelerating this process. As we step into July 18th, one of the things to take note of is this lava channel that is feeding the ocean entry has crusted over at the surface. It's no longer visibly moving that lava through a channel in the lower section between the Pohoiki crater and the ocean entry itself. So it's recreating that jelly donut effect that we saw in the previous ocean entry before it reset around the backside of the Pohoiki crater and Green Mountain. This is where that surface crusts over and that lava is able to move in that jelly donut layer, that still malleable molten layer of lava beneath the crusted surface, and make its way into the ocean that way.
Mean. Look at that. Awesome. Yes.
In this clip, we see lava making a standing wave during one of these influxes of lava, be it a pulse or surge. And these are quite common, but really the lava channel itself has been getting deeper and deeper as time progresses. We kind of talked about it at the time as being the lava channel dredges itself consistently. It's sandpapering off the bottom layer of it and getting deeper and deeper, while also building up those levees with each overflow and each surge and influx of lava. But we want to show here that difference between the highs and the lows. Here we take another look at one of the thermal maps produced by the USGS, and the real difference here is that encroachment upon Pohoiki. In the 2 days since the previous thermal map was published, it has moved almost a quarter mile in that direction. The nerves are getting higher with each day. On the morning of July 20th, we rejoined Ikaika Marzo out on his boat outside of Pohoiki. And we are looking at that ocean entry that is now making its way into the Bowls surf spot as it continues its advance towards the boat ramp. So I want to throw it back here to talk about the surges coming out of Fissure 8 once again. Now these surges are a large increase in volume coming out of Fissure 8 that can create overflows and increases the hazard around the flow field in general. These surges are associated with the collapse events that are taking place regularly, about once every 24 hours, though that interval is increasing. They're taking place up at the summit, then about an hour to an hour and a half after the summit does a sudden drop down, a dozen meters or so. The lava will come out of Fissure 8 in that increased volume, and the surge will translate all the way down to the Lower East Rift Zone. Now, the tricky part about it, and the part that was hard to put two and two together on this one, was not every surge translated to an increase of surface activity. There were a couple missing surges, so to speak, and the kind of getting more explained now in the literature, but at the time it was making it hard to figure out exactly how strong of a connection the surges at Fissure 8 and the summit collapse events at the Kilauea summit were. We conclude the 21st of July with a look at the thermal map produced by the USGS. There's not a lot to show in this thermal map that we haven't seen in the previous ones. The only real difference is that encroachment upon Pohoiki continues. It's now still about a quarter mile out. Over the past couple of days, it's kind of slowed the advancement rate down towards the boat ramp, but we're still seeing that persistent advancement. And that'll do it for July 15th through 21st of the 2018 Kilauea Eruption. In this episode, we saw how one of the lava tour boats got caught in a littoral explosion. We talked a little bit more about the surges and overflows of Fissure 8, and we concluded by looking at that slow, persistent advancement of the ocean entry towards the Pohoiki Boat Ramp. Until next time, aloha.